and thank you so much for having us in your homes again for Stronger. This is the end of an awesome week of Stronger episodes where we've been talking about building our faith ground and the ways that can help us have a strong walk with God. So to wrap up this week, we are going to read some scripture, and then we're going to get started talking about something pretty cool. So we're going to start with Daniel chapter 2, verse 24 through 30. Then Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to execute the wise men of Babylon, and said to him, "Do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will interpret his dream for him." Arioch took Daniel to the king at once and said, "I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can tell the king what his dream means." The king asked Daniel, also called Belteshazzar, "Are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it?" Daniel replied, "No wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he is asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and the visions that passed through your mind as you were lying in bed are these. As your majesty was lying there, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you what is going to happen. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have greater wisdom than anyone else alive, but so that your majesty may know the interpretation and that you may understand what went through your mind." It's pretty cool. There's a lot in there. That's quite a chunk of scripture.
Yep.
Yes.
So we do kind of have to go back and unpack it,
Yes.
but it's pretty awesome.
I think it's really cool.
Absolutely.
So what we see here is a guy that found his faith ground.
Right.
And on that faith ground, God met him. Because
Yes.
God does that.
Yes,
he meets
he
us
does.
where our faith meets him. Right? So he meets us on our faith ground. We need God's activity. They get God's activity. God's activity is he shows them the dream, exactly how Nebuchadnezzar got the dream.
Yeah.
And he gives them the interpretation that only God would hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really fantastic.
Yeah.
And you would think Daniel's head would be spinning about how great he is.
Really, that
Yeah.
God chose him. We were
I know.
kind of talking
Yeah.
about this while we were sitting here beforehand and thinking that would be a normal reaction to be wow, God chose me to show me this. And, even a humble person may just really take some time to why would he choose me? And kind of just think that through. It'd be a very normal response.
Yeah.
And he has none of that.
Yeah, none of it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really admire that response too, because here I think it really shows, maybe a couple things. I think, first of all, he kind of had the king in a position, right? He could have said, "Okay, king, what were those riches and blessings you were going to give me? I got this answer for you. You need me." He
When do I
went
expect
down that
deposit to my account?
Exactly.
In Switzerland, of course.
Transfers.
He really didn't do that. And, also we see him here going right to Arioch saying, "Shut it down.
Yeah.
I have the answer." And I think that really does, show his heart, his godly heart, his heart of God, saying, it doesn't have to be about me. It doesn't have to be my name on this. It's about those souls and those people that I'm, that their lives are hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where verse 24.
Yeah.
That's right. Where he
Right.
just right away is don't execute them.
Yeah.
Right. I have the answer, but his first thing is do not execute them.
So he's not even thinking about himself. His first thought is these others.
Yeah.
If that isn't pure-hearted
Yeah.
at that moment of
Exactly.
temptation
What a beautiful.
and power,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
he's holding all the cards.
Yeah, absolutely is.
And he's thinking about these other guys, and he says, "Arioch, stop! Do not execute." Now, just for a minute, human nature in that position would normally think, I get to secure all the power. These guys will be taken out.
Yeah.
I'll have myself the king's ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes.
Yep.
Uncontested ground.
Exactly.
Power from them shifts to me.
Yep.
That's right.
He has none of this.
No, it's just save them. Stop. Don't do that. save those people.
It's so selfless.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Absolutely.
So that is, like you said, that's the heart of God,
Yes.
right? Is that was rescue. That's the word, right? Is
Yeah,
rescue
That
right
was
away.
his.
You know, we celebrate this kind of heart in people. And I got to tell you a grandkid story. Can I tell you a grandkid story?
I would love that.
Yeah. our
Okay, all right.
favorite.
So little Isaac, he's
Yeah.
going to be 8 in another month or whatever. I better know this exactly, but I think it's about 16 or no, it's 13 days. Anyway, so he's going to be he's going to be 8.
Yeah.
They have a thing at the school for the Terry Fox Run, and they want to raise $300 in the school. So he ends up, he had $21. He takes it all in, okay, and because he wants to help people with cancer.
Yes.
And so the story bit his heart. And he goes and he gives that. So then one of my brothers has been dealing, well, a couple of them have it, but one's dealing with cancer. And so he didn't have a name, but then he learned about him and he wants his name, so he got his name. You know what? You know how this works with Terry Fox Run,
with the who
that I'm
you're
running for.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
yes.
so then this story goes, my daughter let my brother know about this, and he said, tell you what, next spring when they're doing the big thing for the cross research, Isaac, I will match anything that you're saving and giving, because Isaac was saying, I want to do more. Now, why do I bring that up besides I'm proud as heck?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Is this. That's the kind of purity of heart
Yeah.
that Daniel, as a grown man here, is exercising for others. For others.
Wow.
And this is rescue.
It is.
It's rescue. If I can rescue you, and that's why we have the ring behind us. We have a rescue ring.
Yeah.
This is the Christian gospel.
It is. Yeah, this is the gospel story. We're all in need of rescue, and that is what the gospel is there for, to rescue us. That's God's plan, is to rescue us, the ultimate rescue.
Yes.
It's just a beautiful little window into God's heart through this wonderful guy we get to read about.
In fact, God is so much into rescue. He rescues souls.
Yep.
Right? The rich farmer builds other barns, and he says, tonight your soul's going to be required of you, you fool. That, and what shall a man gain if he gains the whole world but loses his own soul?
Yeah.
God is saying, you don't understand, you already have the greatest riches just with your soul.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you sell your soul for things that are nowhere near
Yeah.
That's right.
as valuable? I don't value these things, I value you.
Yeah.
But God also values his creation. He's rescuing everything. There's a new creation. God is a rescue God. He's in the rescue business. I don't know about you, but that's great news for you, because you need rescue. You might need rescue in your relationship. You might need rescue in your own health or something about you.
Finances,
You need rescue. We all need
whatever.
rescue.
We all do.
He's always rescuing me.
He is.
You know who he's usually rescuing me from? Me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is a good news story. And you think about the position Daniel was in here, right? He was a captive. He had been through this program, indoctrination program. You know, all of his safety nets are taken from him. And so then he does, like you said, he has this card, and he doesn't play it the way we expect. It is truly just this example of God's heart. You know, he had so much to gain from saying,
Yeah.
I got it. It was me. God
Yeah.
chose me. So now put me right next to you.
Yeah.
And just, no, save them. Save them.
Yeah. And even when he did go to the king, when he had his time with the king, he didn't bring it back to himself saying, I did this,
That's right.
this is me. He said, no, king, this is because
Yeah.
God wanted you to know this. You know,
Yeah.
he knew his place in how, you know, God uses people, but it was really for the benefit of the king and his relationship with God and his furthering of that, you know. It's pretty impressive.
He really
at
says,
that.
and you're right, he says, like, I'm no wiser than anybody else.
That's
Right.
right.
Is he underplaying him? I don't know. But here's what I do know. I think he genuinely means it.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I didn't get this because of my wisdom. This is God wanting you to have this.
Yeah.
So Daniel, this king's want to say, do you have the interpretation now for me? The dream and interpretation? And Daniel says, nobody
Yeah.
No.
can give this from you.
No.
Nobody.
Yeah.
There is a God in heaven, though,
Yeah.
that gave you the dream, and he's going to give you the interpretation. Don't put me there. I am only the one he chose to use for this.
Yeah.
I'm no better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And for me, that is pointing. He pointed to God. He didn't point to himself again.
That's right.
He was pointing to God and saying, no, it's him.
Yeah.
It's him.
If you think about this in the context of this whole story of Nebuchadnezzar's life, like Nebuchadnezzar has this one viewpoint, and you had mentioned this before when we were talking, is like it's always looking down. And Daniel is just pointing him right up, saying, no, it's actually God. And at the end of this chapter, Nebuchadnezzar does, admit, like, he's in awe that God would reveal this, and okay, only the real God would do this. But this wasn't the point yet when Nebuchadnezzar humbled himself and really personalized a relationship with God. But this certainly was a huge part of it. So not only was Daniel rescuing all of the other wise men and enchanters, but by taking this stand now, by trusting in God and relying on his faith ground that he had built and pointing it back up to God, he was laying this groundwork for Nebuchadnezzar to eventually develop his own faith ground with God.
Which he does.
Yeah,
Which
like
he does.
laying out the next piece of the puzzle, the next step towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, to me, he just does it with such a strong humility. Like, that's what I see when I really think about this, is that humbleness that man had to have.
Yeah. To make it never about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'd say in closing, hey lady, something along this line. The work of God has never been meant to stop in you.
Right. It's never just about you.
It's to go through you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the work that God's done in your life, it's not ending here. If it does, then there's something incomplete. And in Daniel's case, it went through. It went through to the guys that were going to be executed to rescue. It went through to the king to rescue the king from himself.
Yeah.
It went through him. And the reason it could go through him was because of his humility, was because of that. And just like you said, Ange, it was because God took his view and Daniel said, no, king, you're looking this way. Look this way. That might be a view change for you. May humility help you to make that change. And may the work of God continue in you so that it might go through you. God bless.